Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy, family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574 today. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into the FL1 betting podcast here on FingerLakes1.com. Paul Russo, Jim Sinicropi, and Kyle Evans here with you. We are on the doorstep. The penultimate weekend of the NFL season is here, and we have only a couple games left. Kind of depressing, but still plenty of stuff you can go ahead and bet. So
I'm not depressed.
Well, I mean, it's kind of depressing in the sense of there's only a couple weekends left.
Well, spring's coming, too, so that's good. But
right.
I'm excited. I have no depression. These are 2 great games. Sunday's going to be really good day to watch some football.
That's true. So we got all that, review our picks, whatever else comes up. But first, I think a couple more of our sponsors, including the Lux Hotel and Conference Center, next great location for your overnight stay, wedding, event, reception, meeting space, and more. On-site food and beverage over at Woody's Bar and Grill. Find everything you're looking for in one spot. You can contact them today to inquire about your next opportunity. And the Perfect Pair Eatery, quality carry-out cuisine in Seneca Falls. Everything made fresh, in-house smoked meats, comfort classics, desserts, sweets, treats. Sure to please the entire family for lunch or dinner. We're also offering a business lunch drop-off on Monday or Tuesday. Reach out at perfectpaireatery.com or call them at 315-712-4004 and look for the yellow door at 64 West Baird Street. So, all right, gentlemen, we'll show the picks first here before we kind of jump into anything else here. And, Jim, a little rough spot for you again here this past weekend. And it came from the player prop side of things.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I feel like the weather kind of got you in a bad spot on both of them for the most part.
Yeah, I didn't expect the weather to be as bad in the Philadelphia game. Weather was fine in Buffalo. Coleman should have got that.
Yeah.
But the Bills won. That was the biggest pick that I got right.
That is true.
Definitely happy about that.
You and Kyle both hit them as a money line pick this past weekend. Kyle, you also had the Chiefs at -8, so you weren't completely puckered up there at the end, I don't think.
Oh, I was so close. I was like, oh, I was kind of mad that he ran out of bounds.
Yeah. And then, now we can kind of get into this a little bit. Me and you had a bit of a lock fight on our hands. You took Detroit. I took the Commanders. And
could have taken the Commanders -9.5.
Yeah, you could have. You could have for a very big hit potentially.
It's crazy. That is one of the crazier things I've seen. But kind of makes sense, I guess, with Detroit, being as banged up as they are, and Jaden Daniels being the next coming of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. So, other than that, I didn't quite get obviously the Notre Dame, and I covered by a half point with the Rams. So we'll take that any day of the week. And Kyle, how you feel about the Commanders now, buddy? Let me know.
I'm
Talk to me.
impressed. I mean, Jaden Daniels is playing out of his mind. The defense we saw in Detroit make big plays. They're just, I don't know. I think they're overperforming. Nobody saw it coming. Maybe they would have won that first playoff game, but to be in the championship round, it's crazy to me. I mean, maybe not for you, but let's be real. Without being biased,
for him too. It's crazy for everybody in the country.
Yeah. But
nobody's had Washington in the NFC Championship, not even close. The preseason odds must have been like plus 14,000.
They were nutty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the last 2 weeks you legit thought they were going to win.
I mean, it's a why not us type scenario right now. I mean, hey, we're playing. We got the house money mantra going on.
I mean, there's 2 reasons why you could have confidence that Washington could win this game against Philly or even the last 2 weeks, and that's that Jaden Daniels and also hey, why not, man? They're going to be close in the end. They can keep it close. Why not? But at some point that runs out. So now you just got Jaden Daniels, and I don't know if it's going to be enough this week in Philadelphia, but they're going to be pretty primed in Washington for next season.
We still had this season to finish out first, though. So
Yeah, it'll probably end for the Commanders on Sunday. I'd be surprised if it didn't. I like Philadelphia in the points in that one. 6.5, I think, right?
It depends what line you're looking at, but yeah. So
I think it might go down more. The sentiment towards Washington as we get closer to kickoff is it's a frenzy almost. That Washington might be favored by kickoff.
I don't know about that. That would require some insane money kind of coming in, but yeah. Percentage wise right now, more so on the spread side of things for Washington than the money line, but even on the money line, it's a 50-50 split pretty much the last time I checked this morning about where the
Good
money
odds.
is being placed. So
Yeah, I mean, if Washington's going to keep it close, then why can't Washington win? If Washington can keep it under 6.5, then why can't they win?
Yeah.
It's a one-possession game at that point.
Yeah.
But, I don't know what our plans are here. We're going to talk about each game in depth, one after the other.
yeah, I mean, we can certainly go that route. So obviously Washington and Eagles are the first game Sunday, 3:30, 3, apologies. Yeah, I mean, it's in Philly. If you are looking to try and go to the game, good luck to you. We're talking apparently the cheapest ticket right now in the secondary markets, like $600 something. So a lot of people, as even Washington's marketing it, partying like it's 1991 for this game and want to go to that game. Like we mentioned, depending upon where you can get the line at, got it pretty much saying at 6.5, even 7 range potentially. I saw earlier in the week. Weather-wise, not supposed to be as bad by any means as it was last Sunday in
Both
Philly.
games should be okay, unless the Bills get some unexpected lake effect. It's going to be warmer. It's going to be like in the 30s on Sunday at least.
So, yeah, I don't think lake effect's really in the cards as far as I know. So, I mean, for me, there's a big homer element, obviously, into this for me at this point.
At least you recognize it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care at this point. I mean, I've said this a couple different times this year across a couple different podcasts. I don't know what to do with my hands with my football teams this year. I've never experienced good football being played across all boards like that. So,
Between Syracuse and Washington.
yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I think anything's possible. I think Jane Daniels will have 500 yards, Terry McLaurin's will have 150, and we're going to the bank, quite literally.
Yeah, well, my take on it is, Jaden Daniels is special, no doubt. But, the Eagles got Jalen Hurts. He's more experienced. It's not like he's Zach Wilson or anything. So, at the very least, you can give Washington maybe a slight edge at quarterback, which is shocking to say with a rookie in a championship game. But let's now compare every other element of the teams: offensive line, defensive line, running backs, wide receivers. I think you give the edge to Philadelphia in wide receivers. Secondary, special teams. Maybe Washington has an edge in special teams. Definitely in punter, maybe in kicker, probably in kicker.
My guy.
So I just, games of this magnitude, the better football team wins 9 out of 10 times. And Philadelphia is just the better football team. I mean, you got to admit that, right?
I don't know about right now.
Top to bottom. And I think the Eagles are taking a little bit of fade from the public based on the fact that they didn't blow out the Rams and let the Rams in the game late. But that was a bad weather game. It kind of leveled the playing field a little bit there. With no snow on the field, I think the Philadelphia should be able to execute a little more cleanly. So that's my take on it. I like the Eagles, and I'd take the points. I like it under 7. If it was 7 or 7.5, I'd tease it down under 7. I would like it even better if it moved to like 5.5. But what do you think about the NFC Championship? The overview.
Well, on paper, the Eagles are definitely better than your team, Paul.
Yeah, but you've been saying that against every Commanders team this year.
But I think the Commanders are going to be in this game until the very end. But like you said, you got a rookie Jaden Daniels. I think he's the one that maybe makes that mistake in a big moment against that defense, which is actually better than most people give credit to, despite even their injuries.
Right.
And if the Eagles just get their passing game going a little bit with the way Saquon's running the ball, it's going to be tough to win. But like I said, I'm probably going to take the points on the Commanders' side. keep it close.
If you take the points, then why? If you think it's going to be close down the stretch, then why not go with the Commanders on the money line, given the fact that they've been able to pull out a lot of close games? Matter
Well,
of fact, the Eagles in like one possession games sometimes look a little shaky.
I also look at it this way: the Commanders have already won 2 games on the road. They're the only team that has won on the road in the playoffs. Are they actually going to be able to do it 3 times on the road and then go to the Super Bowl under a rookie quarterback? I don't think so.
Yeah, I would say no as well. But by that thought, but yet you think they can keep it under a 1 touchdown game.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think the Eagles will make a play on defense late, basically like they did against the Rams. I mean, that Puka Nacua catch, I'm like, wow, the Rams are going to go and win this game.
Yep.
And then they ended up getting stuffed.
Yeah, and we talk about Jaden Daniels, but what about another rookie on the other side of the ball in Jalen Carter? Like, he's starting to really,
No, this is like Carter's like 2nd or 3rd year in the league.
Huh?
This is Carter's 3rd year in the league, 2nd or 3rd.
I'm not sure, so yeah, I don't
No,
know.
I guess you would know. I thought he was, didn't he?
I just know, yeah, I remember his name popping up all broadcast.
He's
Making
just starting to
plays.
assert himself as like the best defensive lineman in football.
The reason why I know it's like not his rookie year is because he was the first of the Georgia players to get into
He got in trouble.
publicly known car.
Yeah,
L-
that was. So
unlawfulness
you're
issues.
telling me that was 3 years ago?
2 or 3, yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
I never forget that stuff. I mean, the SEC loves hypotheticals, so.
Yeah, I believe you.
Buffalo, Kansas City. Buffalo currently getting best line you get 2 points for them. Kansas City hanging 1.5 in that game. Obviously, Bills returning to a place they know a lot about in the postseason in Arrowhead. Looking to, frankly, exercise some playoff demons against the Chiefs. But, to me, Bills are pretty clearly, in my mind anyway, the better-looking team. I get it. Kansas City, they have the best record. They have found ways to win. But you can't even tell me that even against the Texans last week that they looked great from start to finish when they didn't.
Jalen Carter's 2nd year, by the way, just fact checking.
Gotcha. See. But it's just like one of those things where it's like if there is ever a year for the Chiefs to go down and the Bills to jump and get them, like this is it. And at least in my mind, the Bills certainly get it done this year. I think anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. They're 0-3 there in the playoffs, but they have 3 wins there during the regular season. We saw the same thing happen, though, in 2020 where they won in the regular season and lost in the playoffs there. So I do think it's going to be different, though. At some point, it has to happen. I think this is the year. Again, it's going to be close because, of course, it's a Chiefs game. And even though the first matchup was a 9-point difference, I don't think it's going to be that big of a gap.
Say it. I know what you're alluding to.
Go ahead, tell me what.
Oh, you're talking about some potential, maybe flags of sort going onto the field, and
Well, yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be a flag that goes against the Bills, and their fans are going to be upset. But at the end of the day,
fun fact: Josh Allen has had more yards for roughing the passer penalties against him than Mahomes has had this year.
yeah, I could see it. I do think of a lot of times where Allen falls down and draws a call.
We've seen it before in big spots. I believe if you're the NFL, you're maybe telling the referees, like, let's not make any consequential calls late that are, but who knows? But, when they put that, you remember like 5 or 6 years ago when like half the NFL starting quarterbacks were injured and the league kind of sucked because they're trotting out backups against backups and all the stars.
nobody likes Zach Mettenberger.
Like Mahomes was one of them too that was hurt.
Yeah.
So they put in this rule or emphasis on the rule and made it more, and to protect their stars. And that's what they're doing. That's why Josh Allen gets a lot too. That's why Mahomes obviously gets a lot. I just think it's gone too far. But like with anything, hopefully they'll balance it. And the NFL offices have to be aware of this, storyline that they're trying to hand the wins in the Super Bowl to Mahomes through the referees. And, I don't think that's going to come up this time. If I really hope it doesn't.
Well, I actually have a stat. In the last 11 Chiefs playoff games, in 10 of them, the opposing team has had more penalties. The Chiefs have never had more penalties than their opponent in the last 11 playoff games.
Yeah.
And in one, they ended up having the same amount. But that just goes to show you that no matter what game it is, what crew it is, the Chiefs always end up with less penalties than the opposing team.
You could argue it's because they're better coached. I mean, seems unlikely because there's other good coaches and teams.
I mean,
but
I always think when it comes down to stuff like this, and this is across any sport, especially, I mean, now we're pretty much 20 years off of Tim Donaghy in the NBA and that scandal, that, you know, we would know if something was up in the grand scheme of it, right? What I will say is it doesn't help when certain situations arise, like you're mentioning, kind of Kyle in a way. It doesn't help the narrative by any means, one way or another.
And why were people surprised about what Mahomes said yesterday when he was asked if he feels that the Chiefs...
Yeah, wait, what do you want him to say?
Exactly. It's like a media question that's like a duh moment, but you got millions of impressions on Twitter of people freaking out about what he said. He's not going to say, yeah, we feel like we get more calls. Like, it's just crazy how people are. I mean, they just don't know the media, I guess.
Yeah.
So, speaking of referees and Patrick Mahomes, 26 total losses in his NFL career. Patrick Mahomes has taken the field and lost 26 times. 5 of those, 19% of his losses, had Clete Blakeman as the official, and Clete Blakeman's on this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most losses of any referee. He's 6-5 straight up in games that Clete Blakeman has officialed. In 2024, road teams had 11 straight up wins in Blakeman's games as well, tied for the most of any official. So if you look at referee analytics, Mahomes is probably the worst draw for Blakeman's the worst draw for Mahomes, and it's also a good draw for the road team, which is the Buffalo Bills.
Isn't Blakeman, though, I would have to double check, but in the playoffs, I think Blakeman's like 5-0 with the Chiefs since Mahomes or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe. I didn't see anything about playoffs, but
I'd have to double check, too, on that one.
But anyways,
no. You know who I'm getting confused with on that front is the guy they had last week with Houston.
I don't think.
Who is it? Not Land Clark. It's the other guy that looks like him. Oh gosh.
I can picture his face. I
Yeah.
can't think of the name.
Yeah. Not Hockley. I know
Hockley's doing
Hockley's
the
doing
Eagles
Washington in Philly. Yeah.
Bad news for Washington as well.
Well, it tends that way, but it's closer to 50-50.
And home teams get more calls anyways in their favor. That's just how it's always been in a lot of sports. If you're the home team, you're going to get a crucial call. I mean, think about the Tre'Davious White pass interference call. I think it was on Keon Coleman right before halftime.
Yeah.
That was a bad call. They were both hand fighting.
Yeah, I agree.
And it set up the Bills for a touchdown.
Yeah,
But they were the
NFL
home
more than
team.
any other sport, the one call by an official can really make a big difference.
Yep.
But, Sean Hockley, let's talk about that and the Eagles and Commanders. He's the main official for Sunday's NFC Championship game. Philly's 5-0 straight up under Nick Sirianni when Hockley is the head referee. Jalen Hurts with Hockley as the head ref is also 5-0, the same games as Sirianni. He's refereed 4 Washington games this year. They're 1-3 straight up and 0-4 against the spread.
Yeah, the ref last week, by the way, Clay Martin is who I was thinking of. So,
well, the Washington's in trouble because Hockley obviously doesn't like him.
There was a lot of emphasis on that Saints game from the end of the regular season. It's whatever.
1-3 straight up and 0-4 against the spread in Hockley games. And then the Commanders didn't lose a lot of games this year, but 3 of them were with Hockley.
So in other words, they're due or the trend continues. You pick.
I mean, I know which side I'm picking. Yeah, do we want to get to our picks on that note? Or?
Well, what am I going to talk about these games here? We got player props, to me, if you're looking at the NFC Championship game, Barkley's over-under rushing is 125.5. What the heck? It was 127.5, but do you, like, I'm not sitting here saying I'm betting the under or anything, but that's a lot of rushing yards.
Well, Washington's run defense is pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm gonna check what he did in the regular
I
season.
don't know about 125 bad, but it's bad. I mean, I don't know. It's tough because this week I do have a player prop in there for one of my picks anyway. So, it's tough because playoffs can become so much of a different animal in that sense.
I believe the Eagles are gonna probably ride Barkley. He's their offensive player of the year. It's going to be a heavy dose of Barkley, but man, 125.5 is a lot. Quinn's probably going to have some plan set up for him. Maybe try to make Jalen Hurts beat him instead of Barkley, but Barkley's also one of those guys that maybe you just can't stop.
Yeah, he went for 146 and 150 during the regular season against the Commanders.
Whew.
And remember, they split the season series. In the one game, they only scored 18, I think it was.
He still had that amount of yardage.
Because he rips off these big 40, 50-yard runs, and suddenly, in the first quarter, he's almost got 70 yards. So, yeah,
Well,
I do like that.
Found the end zone against Washington. Let's see, Washington's allowed the third most rushing yards, 137.5 a game, ranking just outside the bottom 10 in rushing touchdowns allowed as well. Barkley recorded 2 touchdowns in both head-to-head games against Washington, so 2 scores, 1 each game, I imagine, or 2 and 1, but 2 over 2. So he's averaging a touchdown a game against Washington.
I mean, Saquon collectively is the second most bet player right now in that game behind Jane Daniels.
In terms of touchdowns, yardage?
Total bets, period. So Saquon has the most bets in terms of touchdowns, in terms of rushing. It's him by about at the moment on the app I use about 500. The difference between Barkley to Hurts on the rushing side of things. So, I mean, even then though, you look at the top 5 rushing bets available, and Barkley holds 3 of the 5. So, and that would be rush yards, longest attempt, and then rushing attempts themselves. So
He's honestly almost automatic every week, I think. I win so many bets with him.
Yeah, I mean, there's not. I mean, you talk about that too, and there's not a lot. I know we mentioned touchdowns. I mean, you have to get creative on the Barkley side of it to make it worth your, value-wise, make it worth your while. I mean, his anytime touchdown, the best odds you can get right now are minus 220. To have 2 touchdowns, your best odds are plus 230 on that front at the moment. So
maybe you go first touchdown. First touchdown. So Barkley and Jalen Hurts accounted for 10 of the Eagles' 19 first touchdowns, 5 each. So it's actually, Hurts is plus 550, I think. Barkley's plus 340 for a first TD. And the Eagles also have scored first in 14 of their 19 games between them and the opposing team. The Commanders only scored first in 9 of their 19 games. Yeah. So, if you're looking for value, maybe it's first touchdown. You could actually bet both Barkley and Hurts, and if one of them wins, you've made money.
Yeah, the best odds there, most shortest odds, Barkley plus 360, Jalen Hurts plus 575. Actually, you have to get to Terry McLaurin, who is the 5th best odds at plus 1,100.
For first touchdown?
For first touchdown for the first Commander player to pop up. So,
yeah, I wouldn't go with any Commander for first touchdown, just because they tend to mix it around a little more. The Eagles, between Barkley and Hurts, that's where most of their touchdowns come from.
No, for sure. I'm just kind of saying because then
McLaurin's more.
Like I said, after Hurts, which is second, is A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith.
I like Devontae Smith has good odds. Yeah. He hasn't scored in a while.
I think Hurts, am I drawing a blank, or I don't think he's scored in a while because his knee. They haven't really been doing the tush push at the goal line.
Yeah, more reason to look at Barkley maybe for a first touchdown. Or, if minus 220 is not a bad bad odds on the fact that he's probably going to score a touchdown, right? So if you put that as a fourth leg of a parlay,
Anything from the Bills and Chiefs player side of things here?
yeah, a ton of stuff. I mean,
Josh Allen? Anybody?
Over rushing yards.
Josh Allen?
47.5, I think, is the over-under for Allen rushing. He's, in the regular season, he averaged 37 yards a game rushing. In the playoffs, he averages 52. In 8 games against the Chiefs, in both the regular season and postseason, he averages 56 rushing yards a game. That's 9 yards higher than his over/under prop in this game. So yeah, I like Josh Allen over. That's going to be one of my picks this week.
I mean, you can get even odds right now at over 49.5. So it's pretty indicative, I'd say, of where you can get some value right there.
Yeah, I'd probably do that. Xavier Worthy is another guy that I think's a big bargain. Over 4.5 receptions. I don't know what you got it at there.
Well, he is actually coincidentally the second most bet receiving prop player right now with that receptions, and 4.5 minus 140 right now.
So he's Mahomes' primary target now, other than maybe Kelsey.
Yeah.
But if you remember, Rashee Rice last year didn't do much, and then towards the end of the season started to become the primary target, and had huge numbers in the postseason. And then to start this season, he was like a number one guy too until he got hurt. I see Worthy as kind of the same thing. He's kind of coming into he's a rookie, and he's played now, 18, 19 football games, and he's developed a rapport. He saw 9 targets in his last 3 regular season starts and hauled in 5 receptions on 6 targets last week against the Texans. So I don't know. I like that one too.
So
DeAndre Hopkins has been a big disappointment.
Yep. I like James Cook over 55.5. He covered both of those against the top 2 run defenses in Denver and Baltimore. You would think he's going to get about 15 carries. He can't get 56 yards on 15 carries. I kind of like that bet.
And he's scored touchdowns in 13 of 18 games this year, and twice against Kansas City when they played this year.
Yep.
So maybe a touchdown for James Cook too.
Don't you think the Bills are going to probably try to be better with clock management and not letting the Chiefs have the ball very much? Try to balance it out more, not just pass heavy, run it more. I would think.
You'd think they'd want to. I mean, who knows what this game could devolve into once they get into it. It could be a back and forth shootout between Mahomes and Allen, or it could be a ball control, field position. I guess it's almost kind of what Andy Reid wants to make it be.
How about the fact, did you see what he said Monday, that he doesn't expect his team to be favored against the Bills? And everyone's like, what are you talking about? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You're home.
Yeah. You're home, got the best record, and are 2-time defending Super Bowl champs.
It's kind of almost like he was taking a shot at everyone, thinking that everyone's counting them out.
Well, maybe it's trying to get some, sentiment going in the locker room, like they are underdogs or need to have them underdog mentality. But, I'm surprised that it's just 1.5. You'd think it would be over 3. And even look at the rosters on paper. The Bills, we love them, but they got a lot of holes, and they're not like this awesome roster. They just got Josh Allen and some playmakers on defense.
Yep. And they get takeaways in big moments.
Yeah, which is hard to quantify. It's hard to say, well, it's hard to count on that, but week after week the Bills get it done. Yep. I don't know if Mahomes will drop the ball and let Von Miller scoop it up like Jackson did, but that would certainly help the Bills' chance. If I knew that was going to happen once in this game, I'd feel really good about the Bills' chances.
Fun fact, the 4 remaining teams have not turned the ball over at all this postseason.
Yeah, no coincidence. Can the Commanders not turn it over again for another week? I mean, it's almost impossible to think, right?
Yeah. Third straight road game, too. I mean, I don't know how Jaden Daniels doesn't throw an interception.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we will. Won't be long.
You got to remember, the Bills did technically open as favorites, though, in this game.
I'm going to make chili.
Open at 1-point favorites.
I'm going to make chili, and then I'm going to have Cincinnati-style chili during the
You're
Bills
going Midwest, huh?
I'm going to put a little spaghetti with some chili and cheddar on it. For the Bills game, probably have some chili and chips for the first game.
Yeah.
It's all about the chili Sunday.
Hey, I know you and your chili are pretty big. I mean, that was one of the original live streams on
Super
here.
Bowl chili webcast.
Yeah,
I
so-
don't think we're going to do that anymore this year, but
When was the last one anyway with that?
a few years ago.
Yeah. So
It was a phenomenon
it was.
while it lasted.
All right. Pick time. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it.
So, hey, I got the best one last week. We continue that rolling. I will go first. I'm not going to defer. I want the ball. I'm going to work backwards. I'm doing the Bills +2 against Kansas City. I'm going to take the couple points.
You're
And
getting 2, huh?
yeah, the best line available for them is getting 2. So
All right.
we'll do that. I'm going to do Terry McLaurin over 59.5 yards receiving. I mean, come on, guys. What do you expect? Give me Washington with the 6.5. I mean,
Hey, you got
expect
to
me to do anything different?
bet with your heart.
Exactly.
Believe in yourself.
Kyle, you were the next best this past week, so
Yeah, I mean, I might do a separate parlay with the Commanders money line, but for this, I'm gonna play it safer and do the +6.5 Commanders. And in the second game, I'm not taking points. I'm taking money line. Bills money line.
love it. And I got that at +110, so that's all you, man. And yeah, because the only couple games, I mean,
Should I throw in like a third, like a player prop?
you don't have to if you don't technically
You got to
want.
make it. You got to do 3
okay.
picks. We do 3 picks around here.
I can do. I'll stick with the James Cook 55.5 rushing yards. I don't know what you have it up there.
Oh, I need a second. Let me get back to it. 55.5, you said?
Yep.
I can get it at 54.5.
All right, perfect. Hit
Okay.
that.
So that's that. Jim, it's all you.
I'm going with Jaden Daniels over 21.5 completions. He's gone over that number 8 straight games. If you take away the Week 18 game versus the Cowboys where he was out for the whole second half, it seems like a ridiculously low number. And then if you assume that maybe the Eagles have a little bit of a lead, he'd be throwing even more. And you know, the Redskins are going to have trouble, or the Commanders are going to have trouble running with against the Eagles, and you know, with Brian Robinson. But you know, one guy who has done well for me in the past couple of weeks is Austin Eckler. His player props. I'm not going with it this week, but the receiving yards prop has kind of boosted up a little bit for him. But I still think it's a good bet.
What was the number again for Daniels for you?
I get 21.5 completions.
Oh, completions. Okay.
Yeah. Don't want to
I can get you 20.5.
Yeah, and of course I'll
All right.
take it. I'll take the best line available.
You got it.
Now moving over to the AFC side of things. I'm going with the Josh Allen rushing prop, whatever you can get me at. I got it at 47.5.
Where's Josh Allen? I can get you at 45.5 actually.
Yep, I'll take 45.5. Josh Allen over. Geez, I kind of want to go with a Von Miller sack. That's plus 235. So it's not going to be one of my picks, but, you know, he seems to be kind of back to full strength, and he's a big player game type of guy. I like him to get a sack, but I'll go with the Xavier Worthy reception prop, 4.5. Again, unless you can scout me out a better number over there.
4.5 is the number for you
Okay,
on
then give
that
it to me.
one.
3 player props. I do like the Eagles in the points, and I do like the Bills on the money line.
Alrighty. So that's that. That is the picks are locked in then, gentlemen. Yeah. Yeah, the player props ones are always interesting to try and see what's best available. Sometimes they just only offer, some books only offer one, and that's what you kind of have to ride with, and so be it. Other times, especially like today, we've got a pretty good catalog of stuff to kind of chase after a little bit there.
There's
so.
only 2 games.
That's why I had to double check the Daniels completion one for you, because I'm like, look, I'm like, How come I got it at like the top one is showing obviously like the lowest number technically. It's like 15.5 and like minus like 5 something. I'm like, I don't think that's what I'm like, wait a second. Like, so
I guarantee he'll top the 15.5 completion.
I would hope. If
But
not,
think about it. The
no, we
player
got bigger
prop's
issues.
only 6 more than that.
Yeah, it's true.
Like it's low. Like you tell me they're not going to be throwing the ball,
Yeah,
From
they
behind.
got to.
especially if they're behind. I think even if they won, like
You guys are evil.
well, look, they killed Detroit. So they were playing from ahead, and he got it.
Yeah,
Over that amount. I don't know what it was off the top of my head, but it was more than 21.5 completions.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I did his pass yards on a separate bet last week, so that worked out pretty
yeah, I
well.
was thinking of doing pass yards too, but you know what? I like the completion number better.
What do you think on the over under for each game? Like if you had to bet,
47.5. They're both 47.5.
would
Kinda
you
weird.
go over in the Bills game or under?
I'm probably going under in that game, only because Kansas City. I mean, they haven't sniffed 30 all year.
I thought about that. I don't know what I'm going to do if I'm going to play it, but if I like the over because literally with these two teams, they could score, 28 points in the last 4 minutes
That's
of the
true.
game, So you could be coming into the game looking like a lock in the under with like 3 minutes to go, and then it could blow by the number.
Yeah.
So
Actually, that one might be a better in terms of that. I don't want college football. What am I doing?
fourth quarter total points.
No, I was thinking maybe team total more than anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it did go over in that regular season matchup. It was 30-21, so there's 51.
Yeah.
And then I think if I did the math correctly, it's like 3 of the 4 playoff games have gone over or something between the two teams. Because remember, the
those
Bills'
two.
defense doesn't show up against them in the playoffs.
Yeah. But luckily, they can score at will against Kansas City, it seems like.
I mean, it's pretty interesting. Like
Maybe it should be over. What's the weather in Kansas City?
Kansas City weather.
It's still a few days away, but I don't think there's any major like weather events. But as far as the other game goes,
34 and clear. Well, partly cloudy, but
perfect for football, right?
I guess
Any wind?
5 miles per hour.
Oh, that's a perfect day for football. Maybe it will be an offensive.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, it could be fun. Where the other game, as far as the over/under goes, I can see a scenario where Philadelphia establishes the run game and just rides it to the end, grinds it out. Whether it's a close game or they're up, just sticking to the run game.
To be fair, Washington controlled the ball pretty well against Detroit, though.
Yeah, I think Detroit was, like one of their biggest wins coming into the playoffs was the Minnesota game. Minnesota kind of has shown themselves to be fraudulent. The Bills obviously put up a ton of points against Detroit. And I think mainly injury, because of the injuries, that Detroit just is a shell of what they used to be. And Washington exploited it. It's a team that was trending down because of the injuries and a team that was trending up in Washington, and it just was a perfect storm. So I think it'll be different against Philadelphia. I don't see Washington putting up 55 points against Philadelphia. But 40. Yeah, I think the over/unders are right at a good number. It's hard to pick, but I would go under in the Philly game if I had to choose, and I'd go over in the Buffalo game if I had to choose.
Yeah, the Philadelphia game might end at literally like 47, be a half point under.
Sure.
So it could be like 27-20, 27-17. I could definitely see it going under.
It could be, like 21-14.
Yep.
It's just situationally, I think, if Philadelphia gets any type of lead, they're just going to want to feel comfortable in their ball control. But hey, man, that's why this league is so great. You don't really know. Anything could happen this weekend, but high stakes for sure.
Mm-hmm.
High stakes. One thing's for sure. If Buffalo wins, they'll be in the Super Bowl.
That's true.
No,
matter what.
First time in 31 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
A lot to look forward to there. So we'll get out here on that note, boys. Good luck on your picks this weekend. Good luck to everybody in their teams this weekend. They're playing. Be back at it again next Thursday, right? Recap or
Yeah, well, Wednesday. Is there a week off before the Super
Yeah.
Bowl too?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do a Super Bowl preview, but we'd probably do that the week after.
Yeah.
We probably got to take a week off.
All right, week
What are
off.
we going to talk about?
NASCAR's got the Clash next weekend.
You can do a solo show.
All right, fair enough. That works for me. Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, I don't think there's anything. So, yeah, I mean, we can week off it then.
Yeah, we'll see you 2 weeks to
Yeah.
preview the Super Bowl. It'll should be full of player props.
Oh yeah,
Bills versus the Eagles. It's going to be crazy.
can't wait for Chiefs Commanders then. No, Bills Commanders Super Bowl works pretty well for me. So we'll do that. Good luck, everybody. Appreciate everybody for listening and tuning in. You can like, share, and subscribe on the FingerLakes1.com YouTube channel. You can find us on all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Amazon Music. All across social media, too. We go give a shout out because we aren't dead on TikTok. We have survived the
For
great
now.
TikTok out for now of 2025. So find us on all of that stuff. Back at it in 2 weeks. Good luck, everybody. We'll talk with everybody then.